my name is Carol Crawford. I've been involved with CRI since I took my first classes in 2003, and it's been a very positive experience being part of CRI and getting to know the great people like Dorothy Jennings.
She was a very generous, straightforward, open person who had a very brilliant mind and loved academics and wanted to share her knowledge with everybody. She always had time for everybody. She was never rushed, and she was just amazing to me.
She was convinced that lifelong learning was one of the most important things that people could do once they retired. Rather than sit at home and watch the TV, she was an advocate of lifelong learning. And I decided that was a pretty good direction to go.
Dorothy was a Latin American historian. She was educated at UCLA and was an expert on the history of Brazil. One day I asked her a little bit about Brazil, and she gave me a dissertation about the history of Brazil. She actually traveled a lot. She went to 42 different countries. She knew about the history of every Latin American country, and she traveled exclusively to all these different countries.
I think the thing that struck me the most that I probably didn't pay attention to when I was younger was what a strong, remarkable person she was for her generation. To have done the things that she did as a single woman, and in those days, the travel, you didn't go to Rick Steves and go on some big tour with people. She was very loving and very kind, but she was so strong and independent, ahead of her time.
Dorothy Jennings used to work out the class schedule. So there were 32 classes for 3 different terms, for fall, spring, and summer. And Dorothy used to work out all of those classes without any kind of concurrency, so they wouldn't overlap in her head. She never used a computer. She just was so good at that. She had an intellect far above mine.
So the first class I took, she came up to me after the second session or so and said, we like our students to volunteer, to be volunteers to help out CRI. And with a little gentle arm twisting, she said, wouldn't you like to be on one of our volunteer committees? So now, 20 years later, I'm chair of curriculum committee, thanks to Dorothy. She convinced me that's what CRI was basically about.
It was in October of 2014 when I chaired the CRI board. Dorothy Jennings came up to me and she told me at that time that she was thinking about making a substantial contribution to CRI. And that was it. I never heard anything. Then last year, when she passed on, I got a call, I guess it was from the executor of her will, that she had left a substantial amount of money for CRI. I had completely forgotten about it, to be honest with you.
All the things she could have donated to, and she was very involved with the church and all her travels around the world and different organizations she could have supported, but it was CRI.
It's intellectually stimulating, it's insightful, it's informative, it's enjoyable. I can't think of a negative thing at all that I would say about CRI. I'm grateful to Edmonds College for actually coming up with this.